Today, we're diving into the controversial world of performance-enhancing drugs in MMA.
I don't care about weight.
They're all on steroids.
The only weight I care about.
They're all on steroids.
The only weight I care about. Steroids? What are you talking about steroids? Don't be putting my name in steroids. I'm major against that. Don't put my name in the name of steroids, Nate.
These substances offer tempting perks like increased strength, speedy recovery, and enhanced cardio, but they also tip the scales of fair competition. In this episode, we're uncovering the 10 biggest steroid cheats in MMA history. Starting off at number 10, we have Josh Barnett. Back in 2002, Barnett was on top of the world as a UFC heavyweight champion. He was a force to be reckoned with and a true wrecking machine in the Octagon. But then, the unthinkable happened. Barnett failed a drug test for steroids right before his scheduled title defense at UFC 36. Can you imagine the disappointment and betrayal felt by his fans and the MMA community? He was a champion, someone who was supposed to represent the best of the best, and he had compromised the integrity of the sport.
I took a supplement that had tribulus in it. That's all it was. It's just tribulus. Just a Chinese herb.
It's a Chinese herb that stimulates testosterone and, by the way, barely works.
The consequences were swift and severe. Barnett was stripped of his hard-earned UFC heavyweight title, a devastating blow to any fighter's career. But that wasn't all. He also received a 6-month suspension and a hefty $7,500 fine, a harsh reminder that actions have consequences, especially when it comes to breaking the rules. Number 9. Royce Gracie. The Gracie name is synonymous with the very foundations of MMA. Royce Gracie, the legendary Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, was instrumental in introducing the world to the effectiveness of grappling in the early days of the UFC. His victories over much larger opponents through sheer technique and skill captivated audiences and helped pave the way for the sport's mainstream acceptance. However, even icons are not immune to the temptations and pressures that come with competing at the highest level. In 2006, after UFC 60, Royce Gracie tested positive for nandrolone metabolites, a clear violation of the sport's anti-doping regulations.
I gained 2 pounds for accusing me of using drugs. Never gained a pound in my life. It's not like I went from 178 from the first UFC, 178, 180 to 200 pounds. It's ridiculous.
The consequences were swift and severe. Gracie received a 1-year suspension and a substantial $7,500 fine, but the real damage was to his legacy. A legacy built on principles of honor, discipline, and respect for the martial arts suddenly had a blemish that could never be fully erased. Number 8. Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen, known for his brash persona and trash-talking skills, found himself in hot water when he failed drug tests in 2010 and 2014 for banned substances. The 2014 incident was particularly damaging as Sonnen tested positive for a cocktail of 5 performance-enhancing drugs, including human growth hormone, also known as HGH, and also EPO.
It's medicine, right? This is legal and appropriate medicine that does make you better. All medicine makes you better, or it's not medicine. Like, I would never go to a doctor and go, "Doc, I feel great. Can you bring me down a notch?" Of course it's to make you better.
Facing the Nevada Athletic Commission in 2014, Sonnen took full responsibility for his actions, admitting his guilt and expressing shame over his decisions. He stated, quote unquote, "I am guilty, I am ashamed, and I don't have any attempt to put up a defense."
Even though I take testosterone, I tend to agree with the arguments that are saying, hey, what's really going on here?
The Nevada Athletic Commission handed down a harsh 2-year suspension, a significant punishment for Sonnen's repeated offenses and the brazen nature of his doping violations. While some commissioners even pushed for a lifetime ban, the 2-year suspension was ultimately agreed upon unanimously. Number 7. Wanderlei Silva. Back in 2014, the MMA world was rocked when Silva, a true legend of the sport, avoided a random drug test. Now we all know that's a big no-no in the world of professional sports. But Silva didn't just avoid the test, he went into full-on hiding mode, leading to a lifetime ban from the sport he had dedicated his life to. Can you imagine the disappointment and betrayal felt by his fans? A lifetime ban for a fighter of his caliber was a harsh but necessary punishment. However, in a surprising turn of events, Silva eventually owned up to his mistakes and admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs. Now, while we can't condone his actions, we do have to respect his honesty and willingness to face the consequences. Number 6. Nick Diaz. Let's change it up a little and talk about Nick Diaz and his controversial history with marijuana use in MMA. While Diaz has failed drug tests in 2007, 2013, and 2015 for marijuana metabolites,
all you motherfuckers are on steroids. All you motherfuckers, all you're on steroids. I already know that. Everybody knows that.
It is important to note that marijuana itself is not a performance-enhancing drug. However, Athletic Commission still prohibits its use, leading to Diaz receiving an 18-month suspension in 2015. This has sparked a debate within the MMA community, with many fighters and fans arguing that marijuana should be treated differently from steroids and other PEDs that provide an unfair advantage. On one hand, you have those who believe that rules are rules, and any banned substance violation should be punished accordingly. But on the other hand, there's a growing sentiment that marijuana's status as a prohibited substance is outdated, especially in states where it's legal for medicinal or recreational use. Number 5. Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva's failed drug tests cast a dark shadow over his legendary MMA career. In 2015, the former UFC middleweight champion tested positive for drostanolone and androsterone, both anabolic steroids banned by the anti-doping agencies. Silva received a 1-year suspension and had his UFC 183 win over Nick Diaz overturned. Shockingly, just 2 years later in 2017, Silva failed another drug test, this time for methyl testosterone and a diuretic. USADA suspended him for another year retroactive to November 2017, though Silva maintained the positive test stemmed from a contaminated supplement.
You're sticking to your word that you're clean, you never use performance-enhancing drugs?
No, nothing. Never in my life.
These repeated doping violations severely tarnished the legacy of one of MMA's all-time greats. Silva's incredible 16-fight UFC winning streak and record 10 consecutive title defenses were overshadowed by allegations of cheating. While he denied intentionally doping, the damage to his reputation as a clean athlete was already done. Number 4. Jon Jones. I'm sure we all expected this one to enter the list. Jon Jones's failed drug test in 2016 was a massive blow to the MMA world. He was a fighter widely regarded as one of the greatest talents the sport has ever seen, a true phenom whose skills and accomplishments had already cemented his legacy. And yet, he found himself stripped of the interim UFC light heavyweight title after testing positive for anti-estrogen drugs.
And then just to close this chapter with Daniel Cormier, I don't even know why it was such a big thing in the first place. You know, I beat him fair and square the first time and off of steroids, and I beat him the second time off of steroids.
It was a disappointing and disheartening moment, not just for Jones himself, but for fans who had invested so much admiration and respect in this once-in-a-generation athlete. To see such a bright star fall from grace due to his own actions was a harsh reminder that even the most gifted fighters are human and capable of making costly mistakes. Number 3. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's return to the UFC in 2016 was marred by controversy when he failed not one, but 2 drug tests surrounding his fight against Mark Hunt at UFC 200.
You know, guys work hard and they go through training camps and they put lots of time in, and that's the guy that really gets the short end of the stick out of this deal. So it's really unprofessional of anybody at this caliber for something like that to happen, I guess.
You're just so big, and you come out of the world of pro wrestling.
We're done. Never failed a drug test.
The Beast Incarnate tested positive for the banned anti-estrogen agent clomiphene in both his out-of-competition sample on June 28th and his in-competition sample on July 9th, which was the night of the fight itself. Clomiphene is often used to counteract side effects from other performance-enhancing drugs, raising serious questions about Lesnar's preparation. The consequences were severe. Lesnar was suspended for 1 year by the Nevada Athletic Commission and USADA. He was also fined a staggering $250,000, a significant portion of his $2.5 million fight purse. Perhaps most damaging of all, his unanimous decision victory over Mark Hunt at UFC 200 was overturned to a no contest, erasing a major accomplishment from his MMA record. Number 2. Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort's case is a complex one, and it highlights the ongoing debate surrounding testosterone replacement therapy in professional sports. For those who may not know, Belfort admitted to using TRT in the past, which was actually legal at the time. TRT is a medical treatment used to restore normal testosterone levels in men who have a condition where the body doesn't produce enough of the hormone. However, the controversy arose when Belfort failed a drug test in 2014 for elevated testosterone levels even after TRT was banned by athletic commissions. This raised questions about whether he was abusing the treatment for performance-enhancing purposes. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not here to judge or condemn Belfort. We all make mistakes, and we don't know the full story behind his decisions. But what we do know is that his case sparked a much-needed conversation about the use of TRT in MMA. On one hand, you have athletes who genuinely need the treatment for medical reasons, but on the other hand, there's a risk of abuse and unfair advantage if the levels aren't properly monitored and regulated. And finally, at number 1, we have the king of EPO, TJ Dillashaw. In 2019, TJ Dillashaw's career took a major hit when he was suspended for 2 years by USADA after testing positive for the banned substance EPO. EPO is a performance-enhancing drug that increases the production of red blood cells, allowing for more oxygen to be delivered to the muscles and thus improving endurance.
At TJ was the fact that he'd taken some special supplements.
Oh yeah, the guy's on everything.
Yeah,
he's on everything.
TJ?
Yeah, I'm on everything. They test me every day, so I'm on everything.
Dillashaw, who was the reigning UFC bantamweight champion at the time, made the difficult decision to relinquish his hard-earned title after admitting to knowingly using the prohibited substance. His admission was a candid and humbling moment, as he took full responsibility for his actions and the consequences that followed. And with that, we conclude our rundown of the 10 biggest MMA steroid cheats caught red-handed. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.